Wondering which wheel set you should take up steep mountain roads? Well, in this video, I'll test 3 of the leading contenders. Hi, I'm Steve from In the Know Cycling, the independent, ad-free, and sponsor-free website and YouTube channel run by regular enthusiasts and dedicated to saving you time and money as you decide on the right gear to improve your cycling performance and experience. And I'm out here at the base of Wachusett Mountain in Princeton, Massachusetts, and planning to take 3 trips up and down the mountain road that runs alongside and through the ski resort. It's a 3.5-mile climb that goes up about 1,100 feet with an average grade of 5.5% and maxes out at 14.4%. And I'll be testing 3 of the lightest climbing wheels from leading wheel makers: the ENVE SES 2.3, the Fulcrum Speed 25, and the Zipp 353 NSW. And stick around to the end of this video when I'll not only tell you how these 3 compare, but how well they climb against more versatile wheels and less expensive ones from some of the leading brands and others. Okay, time to go kit up and let's go ride. Okay, I'm down here at Wachusett's lower parking lot with the bike and the 3 wheel sets I'm going to be riding. First of all, the ENVE SES 2.3. It's their dedicated climbing wheel set. Next, the Fulcrum Speed 25, their lightest and shallowest wheel set, which I think is really ideal for climbing. And lastly, the Zipp 353 NSW, their lightest wheel set as well, but really more of an all-road wheel set. You can ride on gravel as well as on paved roads, and good for climbing because it's so light. I've set up each of these with Continental Grand Prix 5000 Tubeless wheels, or STR wheels, each at a slightly different pressure based upon the recommended pressure for their geometry. So for example, the ENVE and the Zipp wheels are hookless, so that's a little bit lower pressure recommendation than the hooked wheels, which is the Fulcrum. And the ENVE and Fulcrum are 21 millimeters internally, whereas the Zipp's a little bit wider at 25 millimeters. So widest and hookless will be the lowest pressure. Next will be the slightly less wide, 21 millimeter wide internal width and hookless ENVE, and a little bit higher pressure will be the Fulcrum, which is both hookless and 21 millimeters wide. Now I'm going to ride this at just below my threshold, probably sweet spot, 90-95% of my FTP, which these days is around 220 watts. And we'll try to hold that steady within range. I'm not going to try to give you the impression, however, that I'm doing science, telling you which one climbs a few seconds faster than the other while I hold my same position and my same wattage. I studied engineering in school and have done enough process analysis in my career to know that, you know, you can't really, even if you were to hold your position in wattage steady, there are so many other variables: wind, air pressure, temperature, road surface, passing cars, just name a few, to say that, you know, you really, that's faux science to try to suggest that a few seconds here or there is really makes up the difference. Instead, I'll give you my unvarnished and unsponsored and totally subjective view as a fellow road cycling enthusiast of how stiff and responsive the wheels are going up, how stable they are in the winds, if there's any, how they handle, and how comfortable are they going downhill. Now, I've ridden up this hill a bunch of times and actually skied down it a ton of times, both as a skier and as a ski racing coach for many, many years at Wachusett. I'll be honest with you, riding down is going to be a whole lot more fun than riding up. But first of all, I'll go off and do a 20-minute warm-up, and then I'll start hitting the hills. After each ride up and down, I'll swap out the wheels, and I'll show you how that goes, as well as trying to show you some footage from the ride itself. Okay, let's roll. Okay, you can see Wachusett off in the distance there. Trails cut into the mountain. Finishing up my warm-up ride in about 20 minutes there, and now I'm going to talk to you next when I get to the base of the climb. climb starts right around here. You'll hear the beep from my Wahoo. There you go. It says climb. This lower grade's only about 2%. Riding comfortably at about 200 watts right now. 83 RPM, 11 miles an hour. Still a lot of traffic. About a 7% grade here. Well above threshold. Bunny Hill to my right. Ski patrol right at the bottom of the Bunny Hill. This is where it begins to kick up. It's a good steady 8% here, 7.5 to 8%. This is called Mile Hill Road because, well, you guessed it, runs about a mile long, 9% grade here. You get the idea. We're going up. Almost 11% for this last quarter mile or so of the Mile Hill Road initial section. Coming into the Wachusett Mountain State Reservation. We'll flatten up a little bit here. And we'll start going back up through the ski area to the top of the mountain. Oh, this is where the fun bits start. Start crossing the ski trails. This one to my right, it's called a family trail. Next we're coming across 10th Mountain Division Trail. Just a lot of fun. Underneath the chairlift. Usually there's some bumps there up on the right. See me on the left. Now we come across a trail called Smith, which is top to bottom. Oh, still some snow up there. It's one of the best giant slalom tracks in Massachusetts. I'd say by far the best. So typically this is the downhill one way, but since the road is closed today, I'm going to go up it because it's a steadier climb. Wheels feeling good, 7% grade, 270 watts, really good power transfer. Okay, this last little kicker before we turn to the big kicker. It's about 10% here. All right, now we got, coming off 11.6, we got this last section to the very top of the summit. Coming up to the top here, Radio tower on my left, on my right, and the observation tower straight ahead. Let's get off the bike, take a look before we head back down. Okay, first lap complete. Start heading downhill now, off the top. So I'm running these at 57 psi front, 61 psi rear, per the SRAM inflation calculator. Feel a little bit jumpy, bumpy. The road is actually pretty nice, so I would have wished for a little more comfort here. Breeze out here in the open. Can feel it on my body, but nothing on the wheels. Okay, back on Mile Hill Road. This time going down, of course. The road's a little bit uneven, so I'm keeping the speed down to the low 30 mile per hour range. Got a couple more laps to do. Doing a little bit of speed wobble. I'm going to pull over, see what's going on. Hard to tell. Rotors aren't hot. Just seem to be less controlled than I would have liked. Okay, we're back in parking lot 3. Time to switch wheels. Let's get my bike stand. Take off the rear. Let's take those Fulcrum Speed 25 wheels out next. And if we're lucky, we won't have to do any adjustment to the front or rear caliper. Probably just jinxed myself. Beautiful. Look at that, nothing. Get the Fulcrum rear out. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2. Listen to that, beautiful. Who says the disc brakes are a pita? Pas moi. Okay, off we go, lap 2. Okay, here's that last little kicker, 12%. Not a bad ride. I like these Fulcrums. They actually seem to be a little more comfortable, even though higher pressure than the ENVEs. Okay, so I'm back from 3 trips up Mount Wachusett there behind me. about 3,800 feet in total. Each trip took about a little bit under 30 minutes to get up, about 10 minutes to get down. And what did I find? Well, on this day, looking at these three wheel sets, the ENVE SES 2.3 was clearly the stiffest wheel set, although probably the least comfortable of the three. Very responsive, but I felt every bump going up and coming down, and I really didn't feel as comfortable handling them as I did on the other wheels. But if you're looking just to go up as fast as you can, that's probably the best of these three wheel sets anyway. The Fulcrum same width wheel set, at least between the beads, a couple millimeters wider on the outside, was a more comfortable wheel set, just a hair less stiff, but a very good wheel set all around. And then the surprisingly or perhaps not, the NSW, which I did third, and my legs were starting to feel a little fried riding up that third time, was actually quicker than the Fulcrum, and much more comfortable, although it didn't feel as stiff and responsive, though I felt very comfortable and very confident going fast downhill and taking some of the turns. That's what I found on this day. And the good news, of course, is that we've been riding these wheels for a good while. The ENVE for about 9 months now, the Fulcrum for about 3, and probably 2 years with the Zipps. And when I say we, it's me and Miles and Nate have had time with these wheels, at least the ENVE and the Zipp. And there's a whole lot more that I can share with you about those, and as well as my time on the Fulcrum in a lot of different situations beyond what I found just on this day. And I'll share that with you when I get back to the studio, aka the extra bedroom in the house, and have a chance to tell you more about these three wheels in comparison to each other and in comparison to other climbing wheels we've tested and other wheels that are good for climbing. So, back to the studio for more. Okay, it's now a few days after doing my climbs up Wachusett. I've reviewed my notes and those my fellow testers took about these wheels over months and months of riding. I've also now written and published reviews of the ENVE SES 2.3 and the Fulcrum Speed 25, compared them to my earlier reviews of the Zipp 353 NSW wheels. You can find all of those in the description box below. The three wheels I rode up Wachusett are examples of three different types of climbing wheels. The ENVE SES 2.3 is an example of what I would call a pure climbing wheel set. It climbs as well, if not better, than any wheel set that we've tested. It's stiff, responsive, and light, and you just fly uphill on these wheels. And they corner extremely well. You can really lay into them in a corner of a switchback. We've also tested and reviewed the Bontrager Aeolus RSL 37, another great pure climbing wheel set. And for those of you looking to race or to spend weeks in the mountains each season, you really can't beat a pure climbing wheel set like those two. They are really the fastest wheels you can get to go uphill. But the Zipp 353 NSW also climbs very well, as does the ENVE SES 3.4 and the Bontrager Aeolus RSL 37V, different than the 37. While not quite as light, stiff, or fast as the pure climbers, those three wheel sets are more comfortable than the SES 2.3 on rougher surfaces, the kind that you often find on mountain climbs and descents. The 25mm or so internal rim width of those wheels, along with the lightweight and very responsive hubs, make them great gravel wheels as well, especially on courses that have a lot of climbing in them. I'd call these and others like them all-road wheels that double as climbing wheels on both road and gravel ascents. I've written about this category of all-road wheels, and you can also find a link to that in the description box below. The Fulcrum Speed 25 and Zipp 303 Firecrest are also climbers, but they aren't as strong going uphill as the pure climbers or all-road climbers. And while they are comfortable, they aren't as comfortable or as versatile as the all-road climbers. Rather, these are more all-around wheels that climb better than most all-arounders, but aren't quite as aero as most in that category. This chart shows you how I compare the performance, prices, and specs of all the climbing wheels after months of riding that I and my fellow In the Know Cycling reviewers spent testing them. You can study it in more detail and read our full reviews of each wheel set in the comparative review of our lightweight wheels for climbing, linked in the box below. And speaking of below, if you've gotten something valuable from this review, click the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons to get word out to your fellow cyclists and get notified when I post more reviews like this one. And if you'd like to learn more about me, my fellow testers, and how we test wheels, besides riding up mountains, click on the box alongside me. Thanks for watching. I'd love to read your comments, and I look forward to seeing you again in another In the Know Cycling video or on the website.